go ahead and go into this next segment. Also, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander appeared to got fouled on a shot attempt. Score is 85-82 right now. And now it's all down to him to hit these free throws to push this lead out a little bit farther. Now, aside from that, why am I doing this segment? Well, for one, it's a lot easier for you guys to follow as opposed to, the Olympics, where even I'm a little bit confused on how these standings work. I mean, the website and, how should I say? The rules say that point differential is going to be the tiebreaker, but on the website, for some reason, Giannis's team, Greece, is ranked higher than Australia, despite the fact that their point differential isn't the same. So, and also Shai Gilgeous just missed a free throw, and it's kind of confusing. So, just to make it not so confusing, and Spain just missed a 3, and now they're fighting for a rebound. Another 3 from Spain, and they hit. So the score is now a point differential by 1. So Spain could still win this. Theoretically, they could still win this. But, aside from that, and that is a crazy clutch shot. I'll talk a little bit about that in the fourth segment when I talk about, in the third segment when I talk about the game. But, depending on whether or not this game goes into overtime, I might push that back a little bit farther. But anyways, back to Rookie of the Year. I keep getting sidetracked. There's so much stuff going on. But Rookie of the Year, the polls and the standings, they're way easier to follow. And, it's much easier to talk about other people's opinions as opposed to, talking about something like this that is active and live and constantly changing, especially with these games going on. So that's sort of it's something for me, so that way I could ease up a little bit and have, a genuine flow and a genuine, something genuine to talk about, I guess you could say. Because, like I say several times, everything that I say about these Olympics is always constantly changing. Because, these games, they're happening live as I'm doing this, these shows and I'm doing these segments. So everything that I say could end up being null and void later in the future. But aside from that, Rookie of the Years and the polls, they can't be null and void. So that's why I'm going to talk about this. So this draft class, it's one of the weakest draft classes in recent history. There aren't that many players that, stand out to a lot of, insiders, scouts, coaches. Nobody is ooh, I'm super excited that he's on my team, right? No one's like that now. The only player from this draft class that has garnered any kind of attention is Bronny. The only one. And the only reason why he's getting this much attention is literally because of his father. Everyone else in the draft class, the number 1 and the number 2 pick, I feel like this is probably the least talked about number 1 pick, right next to Paolo Banchero. I don't think anyone has been talking about this kid. And I don't think anyone has been talking about Alexander Star either, aside from the fact that he is just completely incompetent and he shot worse than Bronny in the Summer League. That is the only time that people have talked about him. And, it's a bit underwhelming, this rookie class, especially, considering how we just came off of Victor Wembanyama and, him being drafted, and this, ridiculous, well, not really a ridiculous rookie class, but the class is going to be remembered for drafting Victor Wembanyama and nothing more. So coming over to this draft, where it's only going to be remembered for drafting LeBron's son, who arguably isn't really that good now, at least, right now, it's not looking good for this draft class. So, excuse me. So this voting, it's done by anonymous NBA insiders, I believe. So it could be it's not coaches, that I know. It's a list of some of these insiders. They're anonymous, obviously. So I can't really tell you exactly who voted on these lists, but they know their stuff, I guess you could say. And it's no surprise that the only thing to judge these games off of are Summer League games, and I say this every single time, we don't have to overreact for these Summer League games. So this is just, before the season even starts, could be completely wrong in the future, the way that this poll works. Could end up flipping all the way over its head. the number one overall pick might end up playing like a number one overall pick. We have no idea. So, first on this list, I'm actually getting into this list after monologuing forever, is, well, if it'll pop up, there we go. Obviously, Reed Sheppard, probably going to be everyone's favorite to win Rookie of the Year. He got 7 votes from all of these anonymous people, and, oh, that was close. But, anyways, aside from that, the Rookie of the Year, by the way, Spain, they ended up losing by 3 points. So I'm definitely going to talk about that and the standings in the third segment. But Reed Sheppard, excuse me, 7 votes, ended up getting majority of the votes by a landslide. And the second player on this list is probably going to surprise a lot of you, but it's Zach Edey. He ended up getting 4 votes on this list, which is, it's very, very, it just goes to show you how bad this draft class actually is. Because everyone, like all over the media and everyone and the internet, they all think that Zach Edey is just another form of Boban. Like, the really tall 7'3" Boban that used to play for the Mavericks and used to play for the for the Rockets as well. Okay, so right now I'm looking at the brackets. Canada and Australia, they advance given the results. They have qualified for the quarterfinal given the results of the Spaniard game, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that in the later segment. But Zach Edey being second on this list with 4 votes just goes to show you, like, just how bad this draft class really is, because not many people think highly of this center. They really don't. Next player on this list is Stefan Castle. Now, I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year simply because I don't think he's going to get starter minutes. And because you're not going to get starter minutes, that's just, it's going to hurt your chances of winning Rookie of the Year. He did get 3 votes, however, so maybe he will get starter minutes, but I highly doubt that. With Chris Paul being on the roster now, I highly doubt that. But then again, Chris Paul did come off the bench with Golden State, so maybe that is going to be his role for the team. No idea. We have to see that in the future. Next is Stefan Castle's former teammate, Donovan Clingan, arguably one of the most pleasant surprises in this draft. He is a defensive, he's ridiculous in the paint, and he's super tall, and, he's really likable. I mean, I watched a lot of UConn games. He was that guy on UConn. Like, he was a different breed. Next is the number 1 overall pick, Zachary Wisacher, and obviously, being the number 1 overall pick and only getting 1 vote from these insiders is kind of disappointing. And not kind of, it's very disappointing, honestly, because, when you're the number 1 overall pick, you arguably have the best odds to win Rookie of the Year. It doesn't always happen, but 9 times out of 10 it'll happen. And, well, I shouldn't say 9 times out of 10, more like 6 times out of 10. How about that? Because, that's usually the best player in the draft. Usually, not all the time. So, the fact that he's got the only 1 vote as the number 1 pick, I'm surprised how he even got 1 vote just based off of how he played in the Summer League. But aside from that, next on the list is Ron Holland II. He ended up getting 1 vote as well. And, this draft class is just so bad that it's anybody can get picked. And he's for the Pistons, so I don't think that he is going to win Rookie of the Year. Unless he just, completely dominates and just takes Cade Cunningham's place on the team. I doubt it. Next is Dalton Knecht. Now, he also ended up getting 1 vote. I keep scratching my eye. I apologize for that. But he ended up getting 1 vote for this poll. And people called him a sleeper pick, and people thought that he was a great steal coming into the draft. So I'm kind of very surprised that he didn't get more votes on this list. And for being considered the steal of the entire draft class, why didn't he get any votes? It's very confusing to me. Then finally, the last player on this list, and the last player with only 1 vote, Tristan da Silva. And obviously, the fact that he ended up getting at least 1 vote is saying something, but I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. In fact, I'm not entirely sure who's going to win Rookie of the Year on this list. I think Reed Shepherd definitely has the best chances, but I also think Dalton Knecht could also make a stand and make a name for himself when he does, if he does win this. Like, he has a good chance of winning it as well. Now, maybe he's not going to just because he's not going to get starter minutes, but this draft class is like really, really bad that he possibly could. So with this out of the way, I'm going to go right ahead and just go over the Canada versus Spanish game because it was really close, and I'm just going to go ahead and explain, the importance of it to the best that I can right after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.